Hey everybody, it's Mike Bruce with Life Starts with Food, and we have a little bit of a different setup today. I have my friend Kelly Troup back on from the Real Food Revolution, Real Food Revolve on Instagram. And what's going to happen today? Some of my favorite podcasts that I listen to, some of the favorite episodes that they have are actually when they get interviewed and just give some of their background. I just really feel like a lot of what they have to say after I hear that matters even more to me. I get to kind of dive into their head and have a better understanding of them. So, not that it humanizes them. It's a podcast. They're talking. It's already humanized. They're already. It's already just conversations. So, but I wanted to do the same thing. Not that I think there's anything special about what I have to say, just because I love learning people's backgrounds. So I want to do exactly for other people what I like. This is all to scratch my own itch. So, Kelly, we were social distancing from across the fire the other day. So Kelly decided that it'd be a fun experiment for the both of us to have the tables kind of turned on us. She's been interviewed a few times, and I would love to see her interview. So, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, literally, no, this was all Mike's fault. So I said I'm socially awkward. He says, no, you're not. You can do this. So if I'm socially awkward, Mike's fault. But yeah, so we're going to learn about Mike today. You're a primal health coach as well. How many years have you been into this now?
Ooh, maybe like actual primal health coach.
Well, just actual, I guess the transformation into not eating a standard American diet anymore.
I'm pushing like 9.5 years, maybe 9 years.
So about the same as me. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it happened a year into our marriage. So we had our 10-year anniversary the other day. So yeah, it's close to 9 years now.
Happy anniversary. How did I not know that this weekend?
Well, I don't know. We kind of forgot about it. So we were supposed to be in Portugal for it. So we just kind of forgot that it didn't happen. So
well, so I guess, your title is Life Starts with Food. And that's true, right? All of us, but I think we all start with food, but I think this day and age, we all start with really bad food, right? We start with like the standard American diet. And I think like you and I, our generation was literally the beginning of processed junk food, where it really we all ate Lucky Charms and Yoplait yogurt. So what was it in your life that brought you into this isn't working and I need a change?
Yeah. So I didn't know that. I mean, I kind of knew food was the problem, but I just thought it was too many calories. And, right after high school, I put on pounds quickly because I was really active in high school. I've always had a little bit of gut issues and like gas and bloating, all the things that, young boys, when they have brothers, you think are fun when you're belching and farting all the time. And like, you just
literally my house.
Yeah. Your house is full of that. And then, you're just starving all the time, and you're just told, oh, you have a healthy appetite. I look back now and I realize it was a healthy appetite at the time, but it was also something else wrong. It was hormonal issues, and not just from puberty, but actual hormonal issues from the food I was eating. It was every time I'd stop being active for more than like a month from like football season being out or something, I'd jump up like big in weight. And I just always thought it was growth spurts, but it was actual fat putting on me. And then seasons would come around, football season would come around, baseball season, and I'd lean out again really, really well. But I always thought, and this is a weird thing, I always, from the time I can remember, was insecure about my body. And why does a young boy at like age 4 or 3, like I can remember being insecure that far back. So I don't know where the heck that comes from, but I'm sure it has something to do with trapped emotions and different energetic issues that I'm now in my hippy dippy stage of life learning about. So.
Yeah, and I think that's good to mention too, that men have body issues and insecurities too, because usually it's so much the women that focus on this, and we always think guys are just totally comfortable in their skin, maybe because they can fart and like laugh it off, and we're like, that just happened.
Yeah, no,
so
I constantly, like if I was around a girl I liked, I was super quiet. So people that were just meeting me, they were like, oh, he's full of himself, because I was a football player. I scored touchdowns. So people assumed that because I wouldn't talk to people, I was full of myself. But the reality was, like, I was really outgoing until I was nervous. So the reality was that I was just like so insecure that I was paralyzed. And but yeah, it was constant throughout life until I found a primal approach. So like to finish your question that you asked in the beginning, I like I totally seesawed from age 18. As soon as I got out of football in high school, I seesawed from 190 as a fullback, a pretty big dude, muscular, not a lot of fat on me, up to 220 my first year of college. I went for football, and I stopped playing football, so I gained a lot of weight, lost all my muscle, got super lazy. It's like when guys get out of the military and they don't ever want to do anything again because you were just forced to for so long. So that happened, and then my second semester of college, I realized like, wow, this is a horrible life. Like take my insecurities and multiply them 1,000 times because now I actually am fat, and I don't even have pictures from that time. It's unfortunate because I'm a $160 now, and
Yeah, those before and afters would be great, right?
it would be, wow, my goodness, I'd be a millionaire from those just from coaching alone. So I managed to seesaw back and forth, and between 190, 210, 180, 220, back and forth for the next 6 or 7 years. And I was practically vegetarian right before I found paleo. Just for like a couple months, I tried to follow the blood type diet. It was my last ditch effort. And because what I knew was happening was every time I had meat, my stomach hurt. What I didn't realize was that I had more bread than I had meat, and the bread was just ripping my gut apart. So I knew bread was supposed to fill you up and make you full so that you wouldn't be hungry and you could go longer. And whole grain bread was just this almighty super thing. And so I always ate it. And then I think I got down to about just under $180 for our first big vacation together as a married couple. And I was still like chubby. Like I still had love handles and stuff that I just couldn't handle. Like I couldn't take it. And while on vacation, I was like, we're paying for this all-inclusive resort. I want to be a glutton. And so I just told myself, like, I don't want to be full after every bite I take. I want to actually have some capacity left to eat. So I cut out the bread because that's what's supposed to fill you up to me. So I cut that out for the vacation. In 5 days at an all-inclusive resort, we were there longer than that, but in 5 days, drinking, having cheesecake every night, having the affogato ice cream espresso things like 4 times a day, and just eating mostly meat and vegetables and sweet potatoes, I dropped 5 or so pounds at that resort.
On vacation.
On vacation. And we made friends with an Australian guy, and I always say, I told him what I was doing, and he goes, "Yeah, mate, sounds like the paleo diet." And I just went, what? What's the paleo diet? So that's where it all started. And I came home from that vacation, sat in front of the computer for 2 weeks and did nothing else. I didn't lift a weight, nothing. And I lost another 10 or 15 pounds in 2 weeks. And all because of this weird, wacky paleo diet of eating like a caveman or whatever the heck people want to say about it. It changed my life completely. And almost immediately, I stopped being so insecure. I still was insecure for quite a few years. That's a long road, and it's still a long road. But all of a sudden, I was a better husband. Like I wasn't just angry constantly. And people don't know that about me that know me growing up. I was just angry all the time, just all the time. And it was my loved ones that got to hear me be mad. It was never my friends. So like Kim she would rearrange the cupboard, and I'd say, why'd you move this to over there? Like, the spoons were just perfect where they were. And because I didn't have control of it. And I'd be mad for a day. I would barely talk to her for the whole day. And like, that's just the dumbest thing ever. But
yeah, you're like the happiest person. You know what I mean? Like the couple, both of you, every time I'm around you, you're just like light and laughter. So to see, the complete change in personality, that's one thing people don't realize. They're like, oh, I have anxiety, I have depression, or I'm always angry and I can't control it. But really, we don't realize how much food controls that, you know?
Yeah. And I couldn't not, I couldn't not shut up about it for one, but I couldn't not name my business Life Starts with Food because it was every aspect of my life got better. I became, just on the anger side, I became a better husband, a better son, because my mom got the brunt. Moms get the brunt of their boys, and it's so bad. I became a better brother, a better friend, and I became a better Christian, just a better man for God. Like everything changed when I changed my food, and people hated me for it because I wouldn't shut up. So it was just, and it was a downstream effect. All of a sudden, I wanted to read everything about optimization. I didn't even know what that was, but I was like, wait, I have this like procrastination slash inability to structure and organize information and stuff. So like, maybe I can fix that. And that's still not fixed, but like I just started looking at every aspect of my life and going, oh, it's all easier now. Everything got easier. Like it's not even kind of easier. It's tremendously easier.
Yeah, that was one of the things I put in my post the other day when I was talking about our wonderful weekend is how like we are those annoying people that don't shut up. Like you start a conversation, someone's like, you know, I've got this problem. And you're like, wait, like I can, you have no idea. And then you go on this whole tangent and they're like, what is wrong with you? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I feel like I almost anger people sometimes. And I'm like, but until you've gone from that transformation of feeling like crap and realizing what a different person you were, because I struggled with that too. Like I was the type of person that slept 10 hours a day, like lazy. I got the lazy title from my mom for years. And it really, I thought it was like a personality flaw, and it really was a health flaw. Like I didn't feel good, and that was legit. But as a kid, you just get labeled, you know? So
Yeah. And the other thing that happens for people like us who just take health to the extreme, if you want to call it extreme, I just call it the normal balance of life. Like Anthony Gustin calls it the natural state of things. That's his new podcast, The Natural State. Like, why would you want to be anything but what you are naturally supposed to be, which is healthy? So we look at that, and people tell us all the time, they're like, back to my brain is going three directions. So I always think, like, man, you and I, we've had a lot of health issues rise up over the last couple of years after getting super healthy. And people are like, well, clearly it's not working for them. No, that's not the case at all. It's your body, when you give it the chance to heal, it takes advantage. So when you give it the chance to heal, it heals up very fast on a lot of the surface level things. And then you get like a good year and a half, 2 years of just feeling great. And then all of a sudden the body goes, okay, here's these other things that I never told you about before. And all of a sudden,
we need to talk.
Yep, we need to talk, because now let's take this serious. Like you fix the food, but now we have to repair and correct all the damage that you trashed me for years. And now let's fix this because we're ready.
Yeah, a couple things can happen. I mean, there's so many things that influence our health that it might not even be that. It might just be something else occurred. Like for me, I was healthy and something else got introduced to the body, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think it's important too, is that like, I evolved just even eating this way. Like I started as keto and then ended up paleo primal. So I was like a keto standard American diet, right? Like, so I'd still have my cheesecake with my artificial sweeteners. And then I'm like, because it was such a passion, kept doing researching, kept evolving. And you ended up carnivore, as I did as well. That was one of the things we connected on. So how did you go from primal to carnivore?
My body kept wanting healing. And a year and a half ago, I found a new doctor. First doctor I'd been to in 8 years or more, maybe 12 years. And because I wasn't willing to go to a standard conventional care doctor, a sick care doctor, I needed somebody that knew me. And we were talking about like Dr. Will Cole and different guys like that charge a whole bunch of money to run all these different tests and all the things that I love, the whole biohacking thing. But God had a different plan for me. Because we just couldn't afford that for both Kim and I. So through working for Primal Kitchen and having a random friend pop in that I only met one other time, and hey, I'm having my doctor come to the house tonight to kind of talk about what he does. And he uses this muscle testing where he pushes on your arm. And for whatever reason, I had just heard somebody talk about something similar like 2 months prior. And something clicked because I'd researched it some since that woman told me. And like, it was a God thing. He brought this woman into my life 2 years prior on a quadruple date, and because of that, we got to meet our doctor, who is now my boss, and just the most intuitive guy. And when I started to first go to him, one of the first things we had to do was detox a lot of heavy metals. And when we were doing that, my body just craved every green vegetable there was, and it wanted it raw, and it wanted it just it was like 4 or 5 days. I was making green smoothies. I was doing all kind of things. And then after 4 or 5 days, you can tell your body's like, okay, you never eat raw vegetables because they don't feel good. Stop doing it. And I didn't. And it was like 5 weeks in, and I had completely destroyed my gut. So
how dare you not listen to yourself?
right. So I went from being like, paleo treated me terrific. And I was accidentally keto. And then I started and I used the excuse that I had to experiment with every macro possible and low calories and doing all these things, and experimented and was like neurotic for 2 years, tracking and going too low of calories in the name of helping my clients that way. And I actually wrecked my hormones. Like the old dipstick that's supposed to be standing tall in the morning for men. That's like a good, it's a good decider, a good show of if you're healthy or not, if your hormones are healthy. Mine wasn't just not up in the morning. At 33 years old, I would struggle to get it to work at all, the way it should. And maybe that might even been a little younger, 32, 33. And again, God works in great ways, because I ran into one of the world's leading sex experts at a paleo thing, and we kind of made friends, and she helped me out a little bit with that. And but then I got to Dr. Ted, and this whole thing happened with the detoxing. So I fixed that by just eating more, fixed the other stuff by just eating more and getting the right things in me. Dr. Ted started detoxing me, and I overdid the veggies, wrecked my gut, and I felt exactly the way that I did before that vacation, where I found paleo. So I started having bloating after every meal. Didn't matter how little I ate, I was bloated, and my stomach would come out farther than I could push it. And I was starving, absolutely starving. And I would just eat meat and cooked vegetables, and this was happening. No desserts, no treats, no nothing. This was happening after 5 weeks of raw veggies. And mostly kale, mostly spinach, the things that we now know didn't even exist 150 years ago, and we're told that you have to eat them to be healthy. So thankfully, I'd been researching carnivore for about a year because of different podcasts that I listened to, and that sent me down rabbit holes and disbelief, and then realizations of common sensality, and and so I just went carnivore fast, and I jumped in. And in 3 days' time, my gut felt great. I was down 10 pounds in 4 or 5 days, all bloating, inflammation. And I felt terrific. And I just never looked back for the most part. So over this past year and a half, I've had issues where I have had burdens, heavier toxin burdens with fungal infections and bacteria and parasites, all these things that you just get from life. We don't, these happen, and
we can actually get them from our food. So water supply. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm not afraid of liver. I'm not afraid of raw meat and things like that. So, so I don't doubt that I picked some of this up from the deer that I eat, everything. So,
yeah, and we're supposed to have enough stomach acid to kill it, but sometimes, a stressful day is enough probably to weaken that defense system.
Yeah.
That's our first defense, is our stomach acid. And if you're stressed, it won't do its job. And then all of a sudden this thing takes hold, and that's all it takes. So.
Yeah. And so that's what's going on with me right now is I, up until about 2 months ago, well, actually up until about 2 weeks ago, I couldn't eat eggs. I literally could just eat meat. I'd have some romaine lettuce, and sure enough, I could tell in my gut it was a little bit off. So things just weren't working. And again, a new part of life shows up. And because of working with Dr. Ted, I started doing emotion code work, which is energy medicine, bioenergetics, I guess is what you would call it, which is a way fancier word than hippie energy medicine, because it's very science backed. That's the thing I love about it. So
yeah, I kind of loved your hippy dippy expression, because I say that about myself all the time. I'm out barefoot as I'm like the modern day hippie or something like that. But you're actually going exactly where I was going to go next on how you got into the energy healing, but you're already there. So
yeah, before we jump on that, my friend Amber did ask, what kind of veggies do I stick with? And Amber, right now, I don't do any veggies at all. There is no biological need for vegetation in our diet. And there's a lot of people that will argue that. But I like to listen to both sides. And when I hear both sides, this one makes sense to me, because if a broccoli or a kale or a spinach or a cauliflower was so absolutely necessary for us, it would have been on this planet more than 150 years ago. They bred it out from a poisonous mustard plant. Started that in Europe, and then as it got to the US, they bred it further and further. So all the cruciferous vegetables came from, I think all of them came from a mustard plant. So it's really crazy.
That's how I kind of look at it too, is if I can walk in my woods and find it, maybe it's okay in moderation, because I do think in times of survival, we should be able to eat these things, or we still have healing to do. But I don't think they should be the primary, like when you look at your plate, it should be mostly meat and maybe a little bit of like accent, like almost using it as a flavoring, but not as part of your nutrition. So
our 80 and 90-year-old great-grandparents had it right. It was a pile of meat with some. And I don't even think that like starchy vegetable, like I don't think potatoes are the greatest things for a lot of us nowadays. But back in the day when we didn't have gut issues, that was just fine. But even still to this day, like Kim had a little tiny potato like that big, and I took one of them, and I was feeling it in my gut. And the only thing different in my meal was that potato. So it's just not good for everybody. But I love starchy like squashes and stuff. I think squashes and stuff are probably better for us than most green veggies. And, you know, keto or not, you're not going to get kicked out of keto from eating squash. You know, like, let's get serious, guys. So
different sugars. Yeah.
Yeah. Keto's not about chasing the ketones. It's just about feeling good and having your body work properly. So,
yeah. So the energy code, or the healing body code, all that. Can you tell us about that and how, you know, that works?
Yeah, so I wish I was more, I wish I had a better ability to explain this. This is the one thing, like I slowly get really good at being able to explain things well. And the emotion code is not easy to explain because I just do it. I don't research how to describe it yet. And like I actually reading your description of it is where I got the bioenergetics thing from. And I was like, oh yeah, this is bioenergetics, like this, of course. So
yes. Well, I mean, from what I understand, it's trapped energy that we have in the body, and when it's trapped, it, you know, prevents our body from doing what it needs to do, and it can create illness. And we have basically a meridian that all of our energy travels through, and your system, or well, not yours personally, but the one that you practice, basically is able to find these trapped emotions or energy and release them.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. So it works on two levels. It works on, and they're totally intertwined, right? So one is just the concept that every emotion we have, and this is super cool. Every emotion we have it creates an energy. It doesn't create an energy. Energy is never created. It's never destroyed. So the emotion, you know, just like I pick up my hand, here we go in the camera, I'm picking up my hand, my body's using an energy from somewhere to make this hand move up and down. When we have an emotion, we just think this is this intangible thing, but it's not. This emotion is a real thing that you're feeling. It is a real, almost a physical thing, because it's pulling the energy in to actually make the emotion. And tell me there's not an actual energetic thing happening when you feel humiliated and you just can't even look at someone in the face. Or when you feel guilty, same thing. You can't look at them in the face there either. When you're angry, and there's just this rage, this heat builds up in you. That's not energy, you know?
Yeah, it's energy and it changes. And I think energy is supposed to be ever moving. It's not supposed to be trapped, you know?
Exactly. That's a great way to put that. Yeah. And so when we have these emotions, our body should naturally deal with them. If you see this is a great one we use for a couple of things. When you see a zebra get attacked by a lion, but it doesn't die, it makes it away. The National Geographic shows that zebra 5-10 minutes later, and it's convulsing, it's shaking, and it's actually getting rid of the adrenaline, some of the hormones caused by an emotion. So that's its way of releasing the energy from this emotion.
And they do release it. They'll sit there and it's like they never saw that lion. And our problem is we've got this big brain up here, right? So we remember that lion and we're constantly looking for it, even if we don't realize it.
Yep.
You know?
We have kids in war-torn countries that, you know, they'll shiver and shake same way as a zebra does. And then they're just playing in the streets with gunfire going on. So that's a real thing that happens in this world.
It's crazy.
And like my little niece, when she gets super excited about something, She used to. She doesn't do it anymore. But she'd go, Uncle Mike, I'm serious.
Actually, it kind of just reminded me of a story. Like, I'm gonna cut you off here because it's funny, and yeah, who doesn't like that? So, I was riding horses with my mom, and I was terrified of them, right? So, as a kid, and she would make me do this all the time because she loved it. And the one time we were on like a trail run with a bunch of people, and my horse always had to be first, right? That was its character flaw. And so I tried to run around these horses, and it was galloping, and it was also on a hill, which made me extra nervous. So it ran past all these horses on a steep hill to the very bottom, and I was terrified. So when the horse finally stopped, I got off, and I will tell you that my knees were literally shaking. I've never had that happen. Maybe one other time when I sang karaoke, but like pure panic. Like,
yeah. The last time I really felt an actual full body shake for a long period of time was 2 years ago. My friend Dan, that was on the podcast here, was he took me racing, and I was shaking before I got in the car. My first lap, shaking. I got out, shaking harder, still shaking. I got like 7 laps in the whole day. I was still shaking after lap 2 or 3, when you have minutes between each race, and I was still shaking. It was like the best high that you could ever have. It was so much fun. And that's
a fun high. Mine was a terrified high.
Yeah. Well, I've had scary stuff with horses too. That, like, let's be serious. Horses are big animals. You should respect them. So, but yeah. So with the energy stuff, it's hard for people to grasp that everything is held together by energy. Like, we have no problem thinking that there's energetics in play, right until it comes to our body could be affected by that. But the Chinese have traditional Chinese medicine. They have used energetics as pretty much the base of their medicine for 4,000 or 5,000 years. There was no question to them. Every civilization on the planet has some form of ki or chi or life force or something, which, yeah, you have your spirit, your soul, that's you die, your soul, your spirit goes to the afterlife. Whatever that belief is for you. For me, it's in heaven with God, and all that comes with that. But then your body goes in the ground. There's nothing left with your body, no need for it. But then there's energy left over that held you together. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. If we have an energetic body that makes everything work, if you're breathing, there's energy. So where does that energy go? It's something, right? So that's just my way of describing to people that there's energy in us. When you think of it that way, you think, oh crap, yeah, there's energy. So if that energy is not flowing properly, the girl I work with, we use the analogy of a bucket. If you're swirling water in a bucket and it makes that perfect tornado in the bucket, the whirlpool, that's what your energy is supposed to be doing. Every system has an energetic flow. Every cell to cell has an energetic flow, all these different things. As soon as you put your hand in that bucket of water, that water flow has a really hard time to keep that nice whirlpool going. It really doesn't want to work. So you have to really push hard to keep that swirling. So that's like a trapped emotion or extra energy from something that gets stuck in your body. And what you do whenever you're releasing energy, and this is all based on Dr. Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code. It's really incredible. We have, like you said earlier, the meridians that we used to think were woo-woo Chinese medicine, but now science can prove it. If you've done acupuncture, you've used the meridians in your body for energy, to use as an energy line, a meridian. So the one that goes from here all the way up over to the back, to the tailbone, that's called our governing meridian. And then every meridian ties into that. I think there's 22 of them. And when you run a magnet on that, it actually, either a magnet or something with a magnetic field, like our hands, it actually imparts in your body a magnetic energy that will go to where your body needs it to go when you're setting the intention mentally, which that's the hard thing to think of too. That's what makes this all seem so woo-woo, is we're setting an intention with our brain. Our brain has energetic capacity. Our body does. Why would it not be able to communicate? So our cells are just ingenious. They're as smart as our brain is, or more. So God fearfully and wonderfully made us. Or made us fearfully and wonderfully. So it's really incredible things. And I think my biggest hurdle is probably going to be explaining this to Christians without them thinking it's voodoo or something. But it just takes having an open mind and seeing that like God created us so incredibly well, and why would he not give us the ability to heal using our own bodies?
So
So
there's a great analogy with religion, where everyone's like, well, God will save me, right? And there's this man on a boat, and his boat starts sinking, and another boat comes by and offers to save him, and he's like, oh no, 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 God will save me. But he really just did. He sent you a boat, and you're
yeah,
refusing to get on it. So I feel like those are the things we have in life, and this is kind of one of those tools. Like, our mind is a powerful thing, and it can heal, right? Somebody with a positive mindset who maybe has cancer or terminal illness is going to survive way longer than somebody who's let go of hope. So
yeah,
our mind can set intentions in many different ways, and that's important to know and understand.
yeah. And that's proven time and again, which is the best thing. But yeah, I always tell people, it's great. Like I do believe in prayer. I very much believe in prayer. But praying doesn't give you the right to not do anything else about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's times you just can't do anything else about it. That's all you have. And those are beautiful times, like beautifully horrible and beautiful times. So when you have those times, pray as if there's no need to breathe. Just keep praying. But when you are praying to God every day about being overweight, pull the thorn out of your foot. Stop eating the foods that you're intolerant to. If you can't figure that out, if you can't figure out why everybody else in this world can lose weight but you can't, talk to a guy who couldn't lose weight ever in his life. I could never keep it off. I'd lose it, but I'd be starving and in agony. So like prayer is awesome, but when the guy comes by on a boat, get in the boat. So I had to tell my dad, he was praying and praying and praying over some health issues. And I said, Dad, did you ever think your prayer was answered 34 years ago when I was born? Like I
Yeah.
didn't tell my whole family constantly how terrible my life was until I felt amazing. Then they got to hear about how great I felt. They never heard about how horrible I felt. And I guess that's a good thing, but then they're just like, shut up, Mike. So I told Dad, like, all the times I've been sick and all the things that I used to go through, like I just dealt with it. I got ear surgery, whatever. I cried because you're putting drops in my ears, whatever. But I never really thought it was weird. I just thought you were supposed to not feel good all the time. So if you got it, there's a reason that God gave me burdens, and every time he blesses me with the answers to these burdens so that I can learn and move on and help other people in those other ways. So, I don't know. I go on tangents like crazy. So
So one of the things we've been working on is actually myself and going through these energies. And every time we go through, it's usually an emotional release. It's not something in my, actions, I don't think we've ever landed on nutrition, because there's like 5 or 6 that I put in my post of areas that it kind of goes through. And every time it's something emotional I need to release. And it's not even always my emotion. It's something that my, mother or daughter or somebody else gave to me.
yeah,
So
or like you had some energies of, and this is where it sounds really weird, but if you absorbed energies from somebody else's bacterial issue, like your daughter, when you were probably taking care of her one time when she had like bronchitis or something, and
yeah.
somehow you took care of the bronchitis, it died off, but then you absorbed the actual energy. Like if we have a life force, wouldn't a bacteria have a life force? An energy. Life force makes it sound silly, but we have an energy. So does every living thing or everything on this planet. This pen has an energy. So I like to tell people, like, if you get punched, boom. The goal is not that this fist stops here. The goal is that the fist keeps going. And but the energy from that fist, when it hits you, yeah, it might pass right through you, or it might get stuck in your body, and there's an actual trauma that was caused by the energy coming through. So those energies, there with the body code, the motion code, there's real physical things we work on, real pathogens, real issues that are tangible. But then there are the energetic things, which like your autoimmune stuff is all energetic so far, and it's just so fascinating. So
Yeah, and I'm definitely interested. I mean, we still have a bunch of things to work through. This isn't like a 5 minute thing. This is, your body can only handle so much healing a day. But over the weekend, we were just hanging out and I was complaining that I stepped on a nail like a dummy head because I'm grounding and I'm outside and so now I've got this hole in my foot and you look down and you're like, oh my God, wait, wait. And then we go in the house and we did everything possible to heal it. But we put some, outside stuff on, like our essential oils and all that. But we also did, this healing. We asked the body, like, what does it need to heal? And I will say that the next day, my foot was better. Like that's real life evidence. N+1, like it works.
Yeah.
I love that.
It was
So
super cool. It was, yeah. And like, it's terrible when you're in that situation. But yeah, I am always surprised when people call me and tell me what has happened so quickly in their health, because like, it's never taken me, health has never been quick for me. Aside from like pulling out grains and dairy from my diet, nothing else has ever been fast in my healing. And, I have the girl I work with at the office used to have migraines from the age of 16 to 28, 2 to 4 migraines a week for, what is that, 12, 14 years of her life. And we worked on these back in January, just emotions for her. And she has not had a migraine since January. Not a single migraine. Like,
that's amazing.
Tell me that doesn't change your life.
Oh, that's life changing. Yeah, for sure.
And tell me, like, you have anybody in your life that goes through that and then tell them it's fake.
It's all in your head. Yeah. You trap this emotion.
Right. And like, she and we were taking it serious, but we were not taking our time. We were going very, very fast through these emotions and stuff. And that's like, I kind of give it a little, because it's a God-given gift to each of our bodies to do this. So I kind of have come full circle and I give it a little more respect while I'm doing it than I did for a long time, for a couple months. And we'll still go fast on stuff when we can, but it's like, I really want to respect the process as well, because this is just, it's a process that is so interesting and so amazing that we have it. And I pray a lot at the office with patients and stuff. And the one woman went, wait a second, is this faith healing, or are we doing this energy stuff? And I just went, isn't it both? Like, yes, it's not faith healing, but we can't heal without faith. We can't heal without God. So I was like, are you okay with me doing this? And she's like, oh, totally. I just got confused for a little bit. Like, come on.
Yeah, you have to trust the process. I think that's one of the things that when you believe in God, you're kind of taught. Like, you need to trust in the process, however it's brought to you, however you're on the path that you need to be to reach what you're praying for, So
yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of coming full circle with the whole, like, I never thought I'd be a guy with abs. So that was like way back my whole life up until 25, 26 years old. Never in my life thought I'd have abs. Then all of a sudden I started having abs. And like, still to this day, I look in a mirror and like, my poor wife, I start yelling for her and she's like, what? And I'm like, do you see these things? Like, I got a vein coming up there now. And then like, that was my first transformation of just like vanity and like being really excited that like, that's a thing that could happen in my life, that I never thought I could be that guy.
Right.
And I believe we can all be that person. And then like, slowly I start getting more into the grounding and the earthing and the things that, again, people think are woo-woo, but are fully science-based.
And they come full circle. Like, I will tell you, my instincts as a child, I ran barefoot everywhere. And then everyone told me that was wrong. And I stopped for some years. And then as an adult, when I found it again, it was like so freeing. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, I knew all along. It may be hippy dippy, but it's natural. It makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not allowed to even use the word prescribe, I don't think. But I will prescribe grounding for people. I had a patient with night terrors. She's in her 50s or 60s. Night terrors for the last 30 years, wakes up every time in the middle of the night screaming. And I had her start grounding. And in 2 nights, she called back to the office. And this was like November. It was cold. She forced it for 30 minutes. She called back and she just went, I can't believe what's happened. I slept through the night last night. And I slept through the night. Well, it was like 2 nights in a row. She slept through the night. And she's like, it's the first time in 20 years that I slept all the way through. That's huge.
Yeah.
Just putting your feet on the ground getting
Yeah,
sunshine.
because the earth has energy.
Yeah,
And when we're grounding, we absorb that energy and it kind of, what is it, like positive and negative just kind of neutralizes back out, which is what we
yeah,
need to do. We kind of need that reset. You
yeah.
know,
We
we were
just
outside, what, 24 hours a day back in our good days, right?
yeah,
So we were sleeping outside, we were outside all day finding our food, we were walking. We had so much contact with the earth that's just gone now.
yeah. We even slept on leather, like hides, for
Yes.
deer hides and stuff. And when you sweat through leather, it makes it conductive.
Hmm.
Up until the 50s, our shoes had leather soles. So we were at least still walking on leather until the 50s. Isn't it amazing? There's like 20 different things that happened in the 50s all at one time, and health in America plummeted. I mean, it just a U curve, drastic U curve, faster and faster. So of decline of health. So many things happen. Increase in radio waves and all these different things. You know, increase of electrics in the house, increase in satellites, increase of or decrease of contact with the earth. So many things. Less sun
Yeah.
exposure. LED lights and CFL bulbs versus normal looking lights and halogen and stuff. So
Yeah, it's kind of the positive negative energy. So our cell phones all have EMFs, this 5G, but the healing energy is the PEMFs. And it's really a balancing. And we're just getting the bucket's getting full with the toxic overload of the negative with the cell phones and everything. It's insane. But one of the things that, you do is muscle testing. And because we're talking about cell phones, it clicked with me. Because when you first brought this to me and I was kind of like, okay, Mike, you're like, no, 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 listen, here, take this cell phone because our bodies don't like cell phones and hold it. And you pushed on my arm. And the whole idea of it was you should be able to resist that pressure. And I was not. And my body just collapsed. So
yeah,
can you
it
explain that a
dropped
little
fast,
bit?
huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun when that happens. Like a lot of guys, they really fight it, but women have finesse, right? And you hold it up, and you're honest about the. You hold your arm up. I put a cell phone, and I hit sync right before I put it on you too, so it's really pumping out the radiation. I push on your arm, and you can't hold your arm up. So
Yeah, muscle testing is really neat. And what's great, and if you hang around Mike and Kim long enough, they ask themselves all the time what they need through this muscle testing. So like food, supplements, the whole nine, your body will tell you what it needs through its subconscious.
yeah. Now that we're home, now that she's home from work a lot, we're going to the extreme on muscle testing. But it's because we just found the body code, and we just found Dr. Bradley Nelson's way to heal. And like my healing in the last month, I've never healed from one thing in a month, and I've healed from probably 6 very, very serious underlying issues in my body.
Yeah, you were having some food allergies, like couldn't eat eggs anymore, and
Couldn't
that's
even eat eggs. A
yeah.
carnivore that can't eat eggs. I would have chocolate and like I get cold sores, which means I have herpes, guys. I have herpes. Yeah, simplex 1. And I started. I stopped getting cold sores for the most part, but I would start getting sores on the inside of my nose, and literally for 6 months they wouldn't go away. Dr. Ted couldn't get them to go away, and I, through muscle testing, figured out how to treat it, and like treated it in a matter of a few days. I was able to eat eggs again, and then slowly I was able to eat chocolate again, and then I was able to eat coconut again. Just the other night, I tested to see if I could eat nuts. Pretty sure I could eat nuts again. So that's huge. I can't even eat most fruits right now, and they're starting to come back. So maybe, Amber, just maybe, I'll be able to tell you about some veggies soon. But back to Amber, if you want to see like the best route to eat on veggies, there's a guy named Dr. Stephen Gundry. In terms of veggies, he has it right. In terms of how much protein you eat, there's a reason he is a sickly, skinny guy, because he doesn't eat enough protein to rebuild a human body. So, but he's super intelligent. He just doesn't have the protein amount right. He's like way off on that, way underdoing protein. So, but man, if you have gut problems and you still like veggies and want to eat them, he's the guy to follow for the veggies.
Yeah, and that was my thing too, is, I enjoy veggies. I think everybody kind of does, right? We like variety. We're food people. I mean, our life revolves around food. It doesn't even just start with it. It's the entire life.
That's a life revolves with food.
But
New
yeah, they are a stressor, and that's, they were making me sick. So if you have gut issues, they are the first thing that has to go. And that's why you see so many people that are, that go vegan, and then all of a sudden they're carnivore, and they're like, why do they go to one extreme to the other? And they think that maybe it's just an underlying like emotional issue, like they have an eating disorder. But no, really, it's that they've eaten that thing for so long and irritated their gut lining for so long that it's caused so much inflammation. They
Yeah.
have to take it to that extreme to heal. Because like with me, like the vegetables getting in my bloodstream, like my gut was not healing. And it was kind of when I was really looking into like the NTA and going for that kind of training. So I was really pumping those veggies because that's really what they stand behind. And my cholesterol levels were crazy out of whack because I had plant cholesterols in my bloodstream, and my body was constantly trying to fight those off.
I talked over you. You said you had plant cholesterol in your bloodstream.
Yes.
That's not natural. We are not plants.
No.
And nobody thinks that a plant.
They actually never hit our bloodstream. They go right out our intestine. That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
I always tell people, and again, I steal everything from other people, but like if you have a Ford truck, you don't put a Toyota fender on it. It's going to take a lot of work to get that on there. You put a Ford fender on it buckles right on. The Toyota is going to take a lot of work. That is protein for us. And molecules to build our bodies need to come from meat. Meat repairs meat.
People don't realize that there's antioxidants in our body that we make ourselves. Like we don't rely on our food really. Like we don't rely on vegetables to give us those antioxidants. Like you eat a steak, it turns into glutathione. Glutathione is like the best antioxidant for our body. It speaks that language.
Yep. Yeah. And that's produced naturally. And so for me, I think that there's a reason that vegetables in a local region are seasonal. It is because they're a hormetic stressor, meaning they are supposed to stress your body for small amounts of times in order to cause a reaction in your body. So most vegetables don't come with antioxidants. They cause a stress in your body, and your body responds with this antioxidant response.
And that's that's kind of that. You said it's a stressor in short term, and in short term that's great results, but long term it has consequences. Long term, your body needs a break from that stress. And so like when you're healing, like I am, that's I'm using mushrooms right now. It's the same thing. I'm using them short term to boost my body, but long term I don't think it's something I should do every day. Maybe like bring it in every few months as like a detox, but honestly I don't think it's a long term solution.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And like good local veggies would be you can grow arugula. You can grow these things that didn't come from cruciferous vegetables that like they're just seasonal. They're springtime. So springtime are great for the light green veggies and berries. And then you don't have a whole lot throughout the summer. You have some berries and some fruits that come up, some veggies that last, and then you start getting squashes and throughout like near the mid to later summer. And then you get fruit in the fall, like big, heavy, sugary fruit to fatten us up for winter. So like none of these last year round, period. And
I think that's important to realize is that, these things are given to us, like we can get them in a store 24/7, but the world gives us like, in the summer we would want to fatten up because winter food was harder to find. A bear eats a ton before it hibernates, right? So it's kind of the same thing for us as well.
Yeah. And so I guess this just turned into a conversation, which is what I love about doing these. It's just always good conversation. So the reason I'm doing these interviews is because I just really like to talk to people and I like to get their point of view. And I love hearing other people do this. And I know that well, I'd rather have the relationship with this person instead of hearing somebody else's relationship. So that's like a big reason I wanted to start doing these. But also I have my own business. I have a health coaching business that now is going to start utilizing bioenergetics to heal and to figure out things along the lines of allergies and things like that and correcting allergies. So, I mean, I want to help people. That's like what I do. I work for a doctor. I do the stuff in his office. But I am also able to do this on my own. I have a practice on my own to do this. So, Yeah,
I think it's a really good thing that people should reach out to you for. And I will say that like you're not the first one that I heard about the muscle testing. Like there was an Amish doctor who does it, and it was because he had healed from it. And if you look like around the world, there's a lot of different language for the same thing. Like people do this in different ways. Like in, Eastern medicine, they might do acupuncture, but there's different ways to release energy. And the one thing that we talked about that really clicked for me is I did a ton of testing. I mean, I did stool tests, I did blood work, I did all these different things when I could have just asked my body, right? So people see, I
a
like
lot
to
less
know because
money.
as a health coach, that helps me help other people.
Yeah.
But for somebody that needs to heal, needs to do it quickly and cheaply, the energy code seems to be the way to go.
Yeah, yeah, body code and emotion code, and
Mhm.
I am not certified at all, but I've practiced. So I don't even know that I can say that I use their, I probably can't charge for using their stuff, but I can charge for my coaching, and that can be just an add-on, a freebie
A
add-on for
tool.
my coaching.
Yeah.
So, but I've worked on plenty of people for free. I'll say it's for free because I don't. I have worked on a lot of people free. I really enjoy doing it, and uh, yeah. So I just want to help people, and I've never experienced healing physically this fast, and I've never experienced 2 months ago who I was, and this is like I've been doing the emotion code stuff for a year. The body code stuff I just started 2 months ago, and I feel like my brain, who I am up here, isn't. It's not who I was 2 months ago. I'm not recognizable to myself in the most positive way. My negativity is barely visible anymore.
I feel like when you find this way of life, you can only go up. Like there's no going back. There's no going down. Like you're only going to go up. And so even when you experience hardship, it's just to elevate again,
Yeah,
on a new level, which is great.
yeah. Like our buddy Chris Pryor. So he's gonna get in
Hi,
trouble with Mikey.
Chris.
He's gonna get in so much trouble with Mikey. So, but he's one of the most positive guys I know.
Mhm.
And like he doesn't say a negative word ever,
That's
ever.
why I was drawn to him. Like he just makes me happy too,
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not that guy at all. I will talk about someone. I'm like, oh, what the heck's that person think they're doing walking through here like that? I'll say the dumbest things, and then like in the last 2 months, that's like that's like a date night for Kim and I, sitting in the corner and making jokes about people. Like that's not cool, right? But it's really fun, and it's a really fun like thing we do. It's not making fun of people. But we will
I
like.
feel like it's almost making fun of ourselves. Like usually it's something, yeah,
But
I don't know.
I'm feeling convicted now after correcting some issues in my brain. I'm feeling more and more convicted, just going like, no, this is still a negative energy, and I want my frequency of my body, my energy in my body. I want it to be at a higher level because disease literally is at a lower level energy, and that's
Yes.
proven through science, through quantum physics. You can prove the energetic level of things, and people with a higher energy are healthier. People with a lower energy are less healthy. And they can test emotional energies, negative thoughts versus positive thoughts. They can test the energy coming off of stuff.
Have
So
you ever seen that where they have like a, I don't know, a jar of water and they put a negative word on it and every day they say that negative word, and this one guy was like freezing it with saying these negative, and the snowflakes were hideous. Like they looked dangerous. They had sharp, jagged edges
yeah,
versus the nice words had these beautiful designs, like geometric patterns. It's crazy.
yeah. I have a school teacher that I've done some emotion code work with, and man, again, I can't talk about people's issues all that much from the office, but just some fun stuff that comes up in the emotion code that was it's so much fun. I think I might have told you about her, but she did that experiment with her class, and it takes like a whole year. But as the year goes on, they're just like she's like, no, I totally believe in the energetic issues, and energetic things because I'm doing these experiments in my science class with kids. So
Yeah, some people need to see it. That's one way to see
yeah,
it.
yeah. So there's our buddy Mikey that Chris Pryor did not count in his two favorite Pennsylvanians. He counted you and I. So
See,
sorry,
I
Mike.
don't know Mikey yet either, so we need to get some more connections going here.
You've been Sharon, PA. You guys aren't far apart.
No.
No, not at all. So yeah, Mikey's a good dude. He's a really good dude. You guys would hit it off. So but anyways,
More biohacking at the Bruces. I guess we're just gonna have to bring more people in.
yes, yeah. That's like dream of mine, and
Mhm.
And you, like Mikey and I have talked about this, and Chris and I have talked about this. I love working on other health coaches like that. I like that more than even just working on regular people, because health coaches are my avatar. They are me, and they want to change. They don't just, because you and I talked about this the other day, just because someone's talking to you about food and they know that you're a health coach does not mean they want your help. They want to explain to you about something. So unless they're paying you for it, then they want your help.
And we're more open to trying the crazy stuff because the crazy stuff already works. So we're like, all right, whatever, Mike, do your voodoo magic. We'll be okay. What's the worst that's going to happen? Nothing.
Yeah. Well, Kelly, I will let you close this out because we're pushing an hour, and we were like, oh, we'll go like 15 minutes. So
it never happens. I told you. You said something like 10 minutes, and I about lost it. I was like, never with us. Like even just you alone. Like we're gonna talk. But yeah. So Mike Bruce, primal health coach, carnivore, and now an energy healer. So if you want a different way to heal and quick without all the expensive testing, and you want lots of laughs and good energy, he's your guy. So I mean, if we can do this biohacking with Bruce thing, it's literally like you got Dr. Bruce running around and Kim's like the nurse. She's getting everything for you. And it's just a really great time. So definitely someone you want to make friends with, because like I said, we need to do these like get-togethers more often. They're amazing. So
yeah, I agree. I would love once a month. And like I feel like calling Kim the nurse is underplaying her value.
No, because she's definitely equal, but she just you guys work together like in this weird duo relationship. It's amazing. So yeah,
I'm blessed.
We need to interview Kim too. I think that would be great. So
yeah, that might be the best thing, to have me just not even on here at all. Just somebody interview Kim, whether you or somebody else. So that'd be terrific.
Yeah.
So well, thank you so much, guys. Kelly, hang out, and I'll close us out. And everybody that chimed in, we really appreciate it. Mikey, Chris, Amber, thank you guys so much for always watching and enjoying what I think you're enjoying what we do. You turn back on and watch. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.